Hello, everybody. Spider here once again. Coming soon podcast coming to you from San Antonio, Texas, with my guest. Of course, we have Jordan Miller. My man, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing awesome, bro. And we talked a little bit before we jumped on, man, and I kind of had you stop because you're a man of many projects, many experience, a lot of experience, and I'm gonna pick your brain. If
Pick
that's okay
pick
with you.
away. Pick away, my friend.
There you go, brother. But yeah, man. But I mean, first off, man. I mean, I am in Texas. I always tell people. I mean, it's right next to the sun. I mean, it's not hot yet, but it's coming. Where about are you at right now?
I'm in Maryland, about equidistant from DC and Baltimore and Frederick, Maryland.
Nice.
I've been to Texas a few times though. I quite like Austin a lot. I've been to
Okay. Yeah, and
Houston
I was gonna
once or
ask you because,
twice.
of course, the film, the whole film industry. I mean, the music is real big out there, and that's two two I guess genres that you've actually been involved in throughout the years, man. Music and film. So best of both worlds, huh?
Yeah, every time I was in Texas, it was for music. And yeah, they were great times.
Man, and of course, I mean, the age range I know is different. I mean, I'm 51. I mean, I used to hang out in Austin in the 90s, and some of the clubs aren't around anymore. But what were some of the spots that you used to hit up out there?
Well, okay, so every time I was in Austin, the first time I was in Austin is for South by Southwest, so it's kind of
Yeah.
like a different world entirely, and they
Oh
had
yeah.
whatever showcase had taken over whatever bar it was, so I couldn't even tell you what the name of the place was. But I was with a band called Time Columns. We played a couple small indie showcases at South by, so we were there in 2012,
Okay.
and that was it was a minute ago. And that was the last time I was at South by. But then on another tour with another band called Exist, we played in Austin. This had to have been 2018 or something like that. 20
Yeah.
maybe something like that. And right before COVID. But yeah, at that
Right.
point, I can't remember what the place was called either. But it was a great time. That was like a sold out show, and we had a good old time and ate some delicious food, which is my favorite part of Austin.
Oh, definitely, man. And of course, and I got to say because I mean, when it came to COVID, dude, I mean, you guys had a good time before everything got shut down, at least for a while.
Yeah, like my life pre-COVID was a lot more music oriented. I was doing a lot more touring and records and playing out. And obviously that COVID shut that down in a lot of ways, but also my life was already kind of transitioning into the world of film at that point anyway, right before COVID, and so it just sort of helped that decision along. My studio transitioned from more bands to more film post production, uh, all that kind of stuff. I started playing out less and started doing more composing for film in the studio with music. I was out there making more movies, shooting behind the camera, and writing, directing far more than I was gigging.
Man, and of course, and I gotta ask because, like I mentioned earlier, man, when we were talking, I mean, I looked you up, man, and I mean, you've done a lot, bro. You lived the life that I want to live, and you're not even done yet, you know.
Not far from it, I hope.
No, yeah, but I mean, when it came to music, because I read how you used to travel with bands, and of course, you went to school for film,
hmm
and was this something when when you went to school, were you thinking, okay, films like movies first off, or were you thinking, okay, I'm gonna just get in there and see what I can grab?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was always films and movies. That was like the reason. Same way that like records and making original music was the reason I wanted to pick up an instrument. The reason I wanted to pick up a camera or sit down and write a screenplay was to like tell an original story and tell some sort of cinematic experience and recreate the magic in movies that I loved so much.
Nice.
So yeah, I think making original content is always the most exciting thing and the center reason for doing it all. Um, but I like having a creative job. I can't stand being like in the same place doing the same thing on repeat, and it drives me crazy. But I love doing different things. Whether there's a lot of boring stuff within the film world too, where there's like
Yeah.
interviews or commercials or whatever. But like all that stuff kind of thrills me because it's under the umbrella of the thing I love to do. You're still lighting and shooting and working with people in front of the camera, and meeting different people and going to different places. So I like that kind of thing. That
Right.
thing, same with music. I liked playing at different places and doing that kind of thing. But music is tough, dude. And music is like super competitive compared to film. And film's pretty competitive, but like
Yeah.
there's also a much more larger collaborative pool of people. I feel like in this world. Hopefully, I'm not making a bunch of musicians angry right now. But I think a lot of them deep down inside know what I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
there's but I think they're great creative communities. But I've really fallen in love with the film world.
No, no, for sure, man. And I was gonna ask you because when it comes to the film aspect, I mean, I've been behind the camera, I've been in front of the camera, and it's just there's more takes. There's no more like, okay, let's do it again, let's do it again. So how does that differ from music?
Yeah, I mean there's those similarities there too, where like you'll do multiple takes if you're in the
Uh,
studio and that kind of thing. But I think there's a larger scale of everyone contributing their aspect of the thing
right,
that's happening in that moment. You do a take in front of the camera with an actor. It's not just you and the actor. It's you and the actor and what the lighting person has done, and what the sound person is bringing to the table, and what the camera person has arranged as part of their composition. Um, Wardrobe, makeup, all of these things are happening at one time to make the thing that's happening. And I think that's a beautiful process.
no, no, for sure, man. And of course, I mean, and I'm gonna be going back and forth on this, man, because I don't want to miss out on questions that I have. But when it comes to music, I grew up watching, reruns like I was born in '74, early '80s, watching a lot of reruns, black and white. When I got turned on to like actual horror movies, for me it was music. Like I always tell people, I was a fan of punk rock music before I knew what punk rock was because of the soundtracks. And
Yeah.
I gotta ask you, like, how do you go about picking music for your films?
I totally get what you're talking about too. For me, it was skate videos, right? I was
Yeah,
like hearing all these bands I didn't know, like Iron Maiden and the Misfits for the first time, but through the
yeah,
vessel of videotape and stuff like that. Um, I I love music still, obviously. So I listen to a ton of music, and I have a playlist that I keep in my Spotify at all times. That's like movie inspiration, and that's stuff that's not only is visual to me, or I can attribute to a story that I'm writing, but something that's also reasonably affordable to me. Something
yeah,
that I could
true.
maybe actually achievably get, and not just dream about. Some the Beatles are not in that list, for
Oh
instance.
yeah,
I'm not going to even bother. But like with my last film, The Only Ones, which is now out on Prime and Tubi and all kinds of places, the last end credits of the song is by a guy named King Dude, who I'm a huge fan of. I love King Dude's music, and I have for
right,
quite some time. But I also know he's in the indie world enough that he's reachable. He's
yeah,
contactable. So I reached out. I talked to him personally and told him about what the movie was and how I wanted to use his song, and I was able to get the song in the movie. And that was a dream come true for that part of the film. Like that's exactly what I really wanted to happen. I love his music. I've even got future scripts with more of his songs written in because it's so visual to me. But those are like the needle drop moments are fun, but they
right.
can also get expensive. So you don't want to get in the indie world. You don't want to back
Oh
yourself into
yeah,
a corner. But at the same time, that's where like our superpower of doing music in the background. My partner Raven is an amazing musician as well. So there's been a couple times, even The Only Ones, for instance, the opening credit song in The Only Ones originally was edited to an entirely different song. And it was
oh
a
wow,
song for at the end of the day. I decided for a couple different reasons that was not going to be the song in the movie, and we needed something else that did something like hit a different kind of emotional note. We couldn't
right.
quite find something that we could get or afford, so we just wrote something. So that whole opening credit song is like me playing all the instruments and my partner Raven doing an amazing vocal performance, and we wrote this song to be the exact vibe,
Yeah.
and we wrote it at the exact BPM of the original song, so the edit never
Oh
changed.
dude,
we
awesome,
just
man. You see,
we
and
just
that's
swapped them in.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. I mean, that's one of the things I love about the indie world, man. Is that you make things happen with what you have. Whatever's in your
Yep.
surrounding, you're like, okay, well, I have this, this, and this. Like, this is what we're gonna use, man. But the fact that you guys actually come in with not so much experience, but also with being musicians, bro. Because of course, I can't play anything. I mean, it'd be hard for me to try to do something. But I mean, the fact that you guys are actually musicians and love it, I mean, it just makes sense, dude. And that's kind of I was curious about that too, because when it comes to music, I mean, obviously you do play instruments, correct?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I teach drums on Mondays still, and I classically
Damn,
trained in guitar and play whatever a little bit.
nice, bro. And of course, I mean, you did travel with bands, but I mean, were you in the band yourself at one point?
Oh yeah, yeah. For years, the band Time Columns I mentioned before was an instrumental
Yeah.
mostly instrumental, sort of prog rock band. I played drums for that, and then I was in cover bands for a long time.
Oh man.
That'd be we making rent playing tunes, and we would do like R&B and old rock and roll and all kinds of stuff.
Nice.
And then I would tour with this metal band Exist. They're great. They're an amazing band, and I was like a hired gun for them. So when they'd go out on the road a few times, I would be synthesizer and clean vocals while the other guy would scream. And so we could handle both of those sides of things. And those were amazing tours. We had a great runs on those. Played some great places in Texas too. Those were all the Texas runs.
No, no, for sure, man. I mean, I used to be very much in tune with the indie world. I mean, when I still do, I still interview like musicians and bands. But
Oh, cool.
at one point, this is like I mentioned, the early '90s, bro. Like I used to have a zine. I used to have a zine that I used to write letters to the bands
I
because
love
back then,
that.
before social media, man, like I was doing social media. Like I used to write letters and wait months for them to write back, and it's like it's one of those things where I used to get people like, hey man, when's the next issue coming out? And I'm like, dude, as soon as I get this interviews, bro, like I'm waiting. Like I
That's
mean,
so
what else can
cool.
I do? But
It was
but
kind
yeah,
of a golden era for that kind of thing,
yeah.
like independent zines and the skate videos being
Oh
distributed
yeah, bro.
DIY style. Oh yeah, that's exciting. Back when fan clubs meant something,
Oh yeah.
and you'd get a pack of stickers or whatever it have you, in a from a band. Oh my goodness, what a time!
Now you just get an email with links to get
A
stuff.
link. Maybe
No,
you get
no,
a
but it's still, I mean, I still
download an
see.
iPhone background. You're like, well, okay, here, whatever.
Right? Get free music for your I don't know what social medias were. I mean, I know MySpace, but you get free music for
Right.
your setup, dude, and stuff like that. But man,
Hmm.
but let me ask you, when it comes to what you do now, I mean, do you have family that was involved in music or film?
No, no, not really. Everybody was like artistically minded. Like my mom did all kinds of crafts and all sorts of things, and we loved movies. Like that was family time. Was movie time
Yeah.
at my house. We would make dinner, and we did not have dinner at the dinner table. We had dinner in front of the television. We
Yeah.
all would
Oh
have
yeah.
dinner, and we'd pick a movie, and that was like our quality time, and or going to the movies. If we had a free weekend, we went to the movies. So it was very much a place of comfort, no matter
Yeah.
what. So more than like I got into it from like a feeling standpoint more than like oh, this is a viable career choice. It was something fun to do, and then later in life I realized it could be a viable career choice.
Nice, man. I was curious about that because I mean the fact that if it seems like you just went feet first, man, like into it. I said, man, I wonder if you had like family that was involved that kind of influenced you. But
No, it was that music world because when I did go feet first into the film production world, it was I knew I had a bunch of jobs lined up because I only knew musicians, and they all were in bands and they all needed music videos. So I just started doing everybody's music videos. And also I was a sound guy too. Like I just work crew, so I'm kind of a Swiss Army knife on set. And because I came from music when I was in film school, here's the thing: audio and sound is an utter mystery to most people. So like the fact that I could handle a microphone, I was just everybody's sound guy. Um,
nice.
and so I just got on a lot of sets that way. And then eventually I was doing more camera than I was sound, like I am now. But yeah, it was really that like the fact that everyone needs a sound guy, and I was around a lot for that.
And of course, and let me ask you because like I always tell people, like I got into media, when it came to like combat sports, man, and the reason I got into it, I mean, of course, a buddy of mine, Chris Lopez, brought me in through his network, and but I was still training. I was a student. I was teaching at some point, and then I just like stopped, and it was like, man, what am I gonna do next? So I was like, man, I'll start covering the sport. But it was mostly because I was always the camera guy. I was
Hmm.
always the one taking pictures or doing video with the camcorder, like back then. That I never had footage of myself doing anything because nobody else had cameras, or you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I kind of took it upon myself, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna start covering the fights, the fight game, and make sure I get good footage of everybody, man. Like whether they're winning or losing, but I would send them the pictures where they look good, of course, but I would be like, hey man, I got this for you, and everybody appreciated it because it's like not, I mean, of course, phones started coming in pretty big like during that
yeah.
time, but at the beginning there was nothing, it was just us, And a lot of other media outlets, I noticed, like they would always just post like the winners, and I'm like, dude, well, what about the people losing, bro? Or like,
Or
send them
coverage.
something, put
Yeah,
pictures of
yeah.
them kind of getting getting a good punch or a kick in there. And but I kind of fell into that. But yeah, man, it's just like, people always ask me like, oh, we don't have footage of you competing or doing this, and I'm like, bro, like I was a camera guy, like I could, nobody else was doing it, but let me, with that being said, I mean, is that kind of what happened to you? Were you kind of like the go-to guy that you were like, well, shoot, I got this, this is what I do. People needed you, and you just fell into place.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Like I had a mentor from my music days, Harry Snodgrass, who he produced one of the Time Columns records, became a very close friend. He came from film, and he
Uh,
was like a Emmy-winning sound guy. He did the mix for like Alien 3, Napoleon Dynamite, and all these
Damn.
things. So I learned a lot of stuff before film school from him. And he told me this would happen, and the same thing happened to him. Is he like went to school and he was the only one who knew how to use a microphone. He became everyone's sound guy. So like all of a sudden I got out of school, and even though I went to school for directing and editing, I was mostly working as a sound recordist and a boom operator because
Yeah.
it was the gigs that were coming my way the most. And as a freelancer, those are the gigs you take.
Yeah.
the gig,
Oh yeah.
your favorite gig is the one that is offered to you, and
Yeah. True.
and
True.
those were sound gigs. So I was doing a lot of sound gigs, but I have a huge background in camera. Like when I was in middle school and junior high and high school, I spent all my summers in a dark room developing still photography, um,
Yeah.
and developing film and all that kind of stuff, and I loved it so much. So then when I could shoot and I knew how to compose an image, I knew how lighting could work and all that stuff. So eventually I got my camera rig, my modern digital cinema camera rig together, and started going out for more camera gigs. I still do the sound gigs plenty, but I go out for camera a lot. And the beauty of doing that is, for the films that I'm writing and directing, I'm scouting talent while I work. I'm
Yeah.
out there on set listening intently through headphones or watching through my camera lens on other people's projects, and I'm seeing what actors are great and also great to be around.
Nice.
And those are a lot of the times the people I end up calling when I need
Yeah.
to I cast, because I know what they do, I know what they're
Yeah.
like, and the big thing not only is how good they are, but how cool are they to be around for long days, because
Yeah,
that's
man, and
that's a
that's kind
huge
of
part of it.
that's kind of one of the things for me. I always tell people because I'm like that. I'm the quiet guy. I'm in the back, and I'm just observing. I'm like, I'm looking at people, how people are, when nobody else is looking, like when they're
Hmm.
comfortable and they're just like, because you get those vibes, and you're like, oh man, that guy's pretty chill or whatnot, But I mean, it
Or
makes sense.
or if you see the red flags, if you're like, wow, they're a great actor, but then between cuts it's just like red flags, you're like, well,
Yeah,
don't call that guy.
yeah. You're like, next,
There's
scratch
plenty
them
of
out,
there's
man.
plenty of good actors, but you need to be a good actor and a good person, because film sets are long, intense
Yeah,
days
people
sometimes,
people got to work with you, so
for a lot of hours.
yeah. My man. And of course, and let me ask you, because one of the things that I read up on you, man, of course, like I was saying earlier, I mean, when it comes to podcasting as well, bro, because this is something that you've actually have done, or are you still involved in that?
I still do it, yeah.
Sweet, brother. And
Uh,
what was that? I mean, were you kind of like, hey, well, I'm doing this and this and this, like, you know what? Let me do something else.
that was my friend. No, so I do a show called Camp Nightmare with my co-host and friend JB Dunn, and JB is also from the music world. We knew each other from younger years because our bands would always play, but we would never play together. We were like ships in the night. But like I was like unaware of the whole phenomenon of podcasts because I'm in my weird lane of making genre movies and whatever and playing music. And JB was like had me on his podcast, and he's just like, whatever, just come on and we'll talk, and it's just conversational, have fun. We had a good old time doing it. Uh, and then I sort of found out that he had this whole secret passion for horror movies that I had.
You're like, wait a minute.
So then we started doing this podcast. We tried it once, it failed. They were like, we'll try it again. We'll do it better this time. Uh, and at that point, COVID was like, we had started in 2019, and we had like
Oh,
geared up
okay.
into it. And we had gotten a couple really cool celebrity interviews on the show already, just from just doing it ourselves. And
Yeah.
then COVID hit, and it became like a survival mechanism,
Yeah.
and then we were on Zoom. Obviously I had an extra audio recorder, so I drove it over and I just dropped a microphone and a recorder off at his place, and we do it over Zoom, and it kept us sane through COVID.
Yeah.
And we were able to get more celebrity interviews than ever because nobody else was doing anything either.
Yeah,
Everybody else
bro.
was locked in, so they could just Zoom wherever. And we just had a good old time, and we still do it. We have over 200 episodes at this
Nice,
point,
bro.
and
You see, and that's one of the things because I have my podcast for combat sports during that time, and I was a delivery driver, so I was one of
mm,
those that stayed busy. I kept my
oh
job. They
yeah,
kept me employed. Like I was delivering furniture for that time at. I was a contractor for Big Lots,
okay,
and so I
yeah,
was like, dude, working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., bro. Like Monday through Sunday. Like it was that busy. Like it was
good for
that
you,
crazy.
man.
That
That's good to have in that time,
yeah.
man.
No, yes, I'm blessed, bro. I mean, that it helped me out a lot, and it was like one of those things where the district manager, I had met him before. You know, I worked through Big Class for years, man, like on and off. But he had called me, you know, and he's like, "Hey, how's it, Mario?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Hey, it's Mr. Miller," you know, and I'm like, "Who?" And he's Mr. Miller, you know, from Big Lots, and I was like, "Holy crap! Like, what the hell?" I didn't even. I mean, I'm sure he got my number from work, you know, from one
Yeah,
of the work areas, but he called me. He was just like, "Hey, man, are you still working?" And I was like, "I don't know. Am I?" You know, I thought maybe he
yeah,
was telling me. And he was like, "No, no, no. Yeah, yeah. You know, it's just the other three companies, man. Like nobody's working. Everybody's taking like a month off, you know, for COVID and this and that." And he's like, "Man, I got a warehouse full of furniture that needs to get delivered. I just want to know if you're working." And I said, "Man, I'm working." And he's like, "Okay. Well, I'm gonna let everybody know that you're the guy, man. We're gonna call you." And I'm like,
oh
"Okay, no
yeah.
problem, bro." There was like 6 stores, bro. So, you know, it was a blessing and yeah, dude, like I had a lot of fun. You know, one of the cool, you know, it's unfortunate of course what happened and people losing loved ones and you know, everybody went through a lot, you know, but for me it was like I got to see the city grow because there was a lot of people coming to San Antonio, like subdivisions
Oh
popping
yeah.
up and I'm thinking like, damn, you know, there's nothing over here. I drive and it's like a whole subdivision and I'm like, wow, dude, like but yeah, you know, I stayed busy and it's just like you said, I kind of people always ask me like, oh man, you should have kept your podcast. And I'm like, dude, I had no time, man. Literally. Like it was just,
Like had to
you
make
know,
that
but
money.
but
Yeah, I'm working.
I'm glad you guys kept that alive and kept it going because yeah, you know, I'm pretty sure a lot of people appreciated it, man, because there was really no contact with the outside world kind of thing, you know.
Oh yeah, we made some really great connections with listeners that we still maintain today, and all that formed during that time.
Bro, that's awesome, man. And of course, man, I mean, when it comes to what you do, I mean, as far as you know, everything that you've done and you're still continue to, you know, keep doing, is there something you have your eyes on like for next year or the next few years that you're like, man, I want to accomplish this?
Yeah, I'm yes. I had two there's two potential feature films, one that I'm really actively developing myself and another one that I'm developing with a close friend of mine. Um and we're going to see what can shake loose in the next year. I would love to be on set shooting one of these features
Right.
uh at least starting this year, later this year, but if it comes to next year, that's fine. Either way, movies are hard to make. You got to play the long game sometimes. I'm sitting on like 4 feature length scripts that I would love to make, but I'm focusing on one in particular right now.
Okay, okay. And of course, I mean, when it comes to making these films, because everybody wants to make a movie. I mean, there's a lot of people out there recording, but you know, when it comes to the sound color grade, when it comes to sound, like you mentioned earlier, a lot of this costs money, man. I mean, everybody's on a budget. So, I mean, how has everything been for you guys being able to get that money or get financial help behind your projects?
I mean, it's never easy. That's I would love to just have like a someone you call up and be like, hey, we got another one.
Deep pockets,
But
huh?
I wish, if anyone out there that's deep
Yeah.
pockets, we got
Oh, yeah.
movies to make. But hey, realistically though, we seize the means of production because we know how to do it all. Like here, like I own a production company, Future Fanoscope, with
Yeah.
my partner Raven. And I was a professional cinematographer and sound person. We have all the equipment to do all of that. With the only ones I shot and directed, and edited. So, we can take the movie through full post. Maybe it takes a little bit longer, but
Yeah.
we can take the movie through full post ourselves, hiring out for some of the really specific things. For instance, Harry Snodgrass, I was able to get him to sound mix the only ones, which was like a dream of mine to finally have him on one of my projects. And I plan to hopefully always keep having him do it as long as he'll have me. But being able to take a lot of those huge factors off the table, knowing that we can handle them ourselves, means that we can dedicate this budget to where I think the primary focus should be, especially for genre films, which is talent
Yeah.
and effects.
No, no, for sure, bro. And let me ask you, because I did pick this up from your page, I believe. But I mean, this is the film, of course, that we spoke
Yeah.
about earlier. It is on VOD. It's available on video on demand, of course, on Tubi. Else is it available to?
Yeah, it's free on Prime right now. Free on Tubi. It's on Apple TV. I don't believe that one's free, but it's there. Fandango, Vudu, and some other ones as well. And there's physical media. We have on Prime and through futurefanoscope.com, we have Blu-rays and DVDs. And if you do it through our production company website too, there's autographed versions you can get.
Oh, okay, okay, sweet, man. And let me ask you, because when people do Blu-rays, a lot of times you're able to put like behind the scene features. Are
Mm.
those available?
So we didn't shoot a ton of behind the scenes stuff, but we
Okay.
did record commentary tracks. So
Oh, okay.
on the Blu-ray, there is both a director's commentary and a cast commentary. So that's my preferred one, is the Blu-ray that has the best image quality and the extra special features.
Oh man, and of course, I mean the film I did watch. I mean, I did watch it on Tubi, of course, but
Cool.
I mean it's got commercials, but something like my oldest told me years back, and she was like, "Dad, I miss, when we used to watch TV and commercials would come on," and I'm like, "You serious?" And she's like, "Yeah, because that was when we were able to go and use the bathroom and go get snacks or come back," and
It's kind of
and it
true.
makes sense, man. And that's kind of what happens now. Commercial pops up, you're like, "Oh, go use the bathroom or go get comfortable, get an extra blanket or whatever."
It's
But
true.
Tubi, yeah, for sure. I did watch, and I gotta ask you, what influenced did you put in towards the movie? I mean, what was it that influenced you? Because
Mm.
I saw a lot of scenes, and I'm like, oh, okay, this kind of reminded me of this, reminding me of this. Of course, the script itself is different. The
Mm-hmm.
characters, I love them, and I ain't gonna lie, dude. A lot of these characters brought it, man, and it just made for a great film. But
Oh, thank you.
asking you, like, what influenced you for a lot of the story?
Well, obviously a lot of slasher films, because I mean in a lot of ways it's a meta slasher, so it takes the scenarios that we think are familiar because we've seen them in a lot of slashers, and then use that against the audience to put them in unfamiliar scenarios,
Right,
or have unfamiliar things play out within those familiar scenarios. So you got to say there's a ton of slasher influences. You can't say this movie could never exist without films like Chainsaw and Scream and Halloween and things like that, things that establish the tropes that our film is using.
right,
But at like the core of what this movie I think is about is more something along the lines of Burn After Reading by the Coen brothers,
yeah,
which is a spy thriller in which there's no actual spy intelligence. It's like the characters in unfamiliar circumstances and the characters in their own mind create stakes, and the stakes get higher and higher, and then they start, then the body count rises. But if anyone had like taken a lot of steps back, they realize there's actually no high stakes and everyone could just cool it for a second.
right.
And that's kind of what I wanted this movie to be like. We wanted to make a slasher that didn't rely on the Michael or the Jason for all the bloodshed, because there's plenty of reasons in our own realities to self-destruct ourselves. We don't really need we don't need a ton of external help with that most of
Yeah.
the time. We don't need a babysitter killer to come in and ruin our day. We've got plenty of ways we can ruin our own day.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's kind of what this movie is about in a lot of ways. It's about relationships and people's preconceived notions and people's heightened adrenalines that takes control. And before you know it, there's blood on the ground.
No, no, for sure, man. And I agree. I mean, because one of the things, that I enjoyed about the films of the 80s, and that's some of them, of course, but it was
Sure. Yeah.
like you never saw the killer. You never really saw the attack. You always saw the aftermath, and I told people, I said, man, I love those, because like in my head, I'm already picturing it like, oh man, he did this or they did that. And, I didn't need help with it, but I mean, it just kind of led for more, like I forgot what they call it, man. But it's just like, I mean, everything rised, everything's kind of like, okay, anticipation, and it's like boom, it just drops.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's all about the kind of the perspective of the movie, because there's those movies like you're describing where we're very much in the perspective of the victims
yeah,
only, and they don't know who the killer is, therefore the audience doesn't know who the killer is.
right,
And then there's movies, I love those, and there's also movies, and I love these, like Chainsaw or Maniac, where
yeah.
you spend a lot of time with the killers and you actually get to know them really, really well, which is disturbing for its own reasons. you know? And then there's movies like The Only Ones, in which we're in the audience's perspective, we're
Yeah,
in our own perspective, and we know way more about what's going on than the people in the story. And if only they knew what we knew, none of this would be happening. But that's kind of where it's not an overt comedy, but that's where the comedy in this movie comes out, in the fact that we can see all the traps that they're falling into, and they can't see it, and they fall face first into it.
No, yeah, dude. I mean, of course, in the film, like I said, it was great, man. There's a twist on there for those that are going to be watching it, and that's one of the things that I love as well. Because I mean, first off, the storyline's got to be good enough for, of course, easy for you to follow, which it was. There's hooks in there that kind of got me, and I'm like, oh, okay, let me sit here and wait and see what's going to happen next, because it's just the anticipation.
Mm.
I mean, it was there, the storyline, the color grade, the music. I mean, of course, like I I'm not an expert when it comes to making it, but I know what I like. So the music was, it blended in with the film pretty damn well, man. So of course you guys did a great
That's
job
all.
with that.
That's Guillermo Pizarro. He's composed almost all the movies I've made at this point. He's fantastic.
Nice.
And again, he's someone I've worked with so many times. I know the kind of stuff he does. I kind of pushed him in some uncomfortable territory, but I love what he did with this movie. I think he darkened it up when it needed to be darker. He brought the emotion when it
Yeah.
had to be emotional without being heavy-handed.
Yeah, and and that's one of the things I always, tell people, because when it comes to music, it's just like, if you're in a bad mood, you put, it depends on who wants to play it, but you can either play something heavy to where it just burns you out, or you can play something chill to where it just puts you in a good mood. So it does control out your emotions. And that's what the movie did. Like you said, I mean, he was able to put the music in the right place to where you're kind of like, oh man, you just followed it. It was easy for you to follow. I mean, they just controlled your emotions throughout the film. So yeah, man. I mean, I never thought about that, but yes, that's what he did. So, he did a great job with that.
I'll pass that along. He's the best.
No, for sure, man. And of course, brother, when it comes to being an artist, I mean, I mentioned earlier, I did ask as far as if there was something else that you were looking at maybe pursuing, but when it comes to like drawing, I mean, is that something you do? I know you do, right? But are you also like a graphic designer? Do you do your own logos? Do you work, dab on that?
Yeah, actually, that mostly comes out in storyboards these days. But yeah, when I was a kid, being like an illustrator of some kind was a dream of mine. I really wanted to be maybe a comic book artist or something. I would get comic books and I wouldn't even read the stories. I would just like redraw the pictures that were in the book.
Oh, nice.
I would do that kind of stuff. And I said in the summers I spent a lot of time in the dark room. That was at a whole arts college, so I would spend like half the time in the dark room and the other half drawing. And so I mostly do for my own storyboards, which is helpful a lot of times. Like if I'm shooting my own stuff, I often don't need to storyboard the basic stuff. But when it comes down to effects, especially when I'm trying to build an effect and communicate with an effects artist to make it happen, drawing really helps then, because I can just draw exactly what we need to make happen and doodle how I think it might work, and they'll tell me how wrong I am. and then then we'll get there eventually.
No, for sure, man. And of course, man, I mean, going through your IMDb earlier this week, man, I mean, I noticed, you've done a lot of mostly behind the scene or behind the lens type of work, but I mean, you've also been an actor. So is that something that you were kind of like, okay, we're short on extras or we're short on people, let me jump in there? Or was this something that you were actually looking forward to?
No, it's not to say that I don't look forward to it, but it's almost never been by choice.
Yeah.
It's like most of them are. The first one I had, it was 100%. I was on a movie and I was sound department, but there was no sound in that scene and there was extras required. And so director was like, get in there. So I did. That's happened a couple times, and I like to play ball, so I'll get in there. Unless it's something real crazy, I'll get in there. I did go and work a couple episodes of House of Cards because it shoots local-ish. I have friends who run the crew, and I wanted to see the big boys work. I wanted to see the crews work, so I was an extra on a couple days of that, which, man, those were the most brutal, because there was one of those episodes we did, I played a protester, and I played it in the middle of July or some god-awful thing, and they're like, this scene takes place in November, so here's jackets, everybody.
Yeah.
They passed out jackets. It's a 10-hour shoot. Oh, crazy. But anyways, good memories. So that there's been a couple music videos where we'll lose out on an extra, and I'll have to get in there. I did play a part on purpose recently in a movie called Sibylla 6. I'm not sure when that's going to come out, but that one was on purpose.
Nice, bro. And let me ask you, because for me, I did jump into the whole acting, aspect. I mean, going through indie films, feature
Yeah.
film, commercial, just jumping on pretty much everything that's out there, just because I'm like, man, I want to do it. I look at the producers, the writers working on there, and I'm like, damn, okay, like, great people, right? Um, I always tell people when I'm out there, and of course, being, whether you have dialogue or you're just, background, you're BG and you're just hanging out, there's no dialogue. They just tell you, hey, this is what you're doing in the scene, just make it believable, and boom, they put you with somebody. Now, I like to study. I like to study people. I like to watch how they do it, how they interact, how they conversate. You know what I mean? Like everything when
Yeah,
it comes
yeah,
to
yeah.
what. So for me, I feel like as an actor that I've learned a lot watching how the production works. So with you jumping on as an actor, were you kind of able to see both sides and be like, oh, okay, this is what to do, or it makes it easier for you
Yeah.
to, when you're filming?
I don't know. I try to, in the rare circumstances where I am on camera, I try to separate myself from that, because if I get too caught up in like, ooh, what lens are they putting on over there, then I'm not in it, right? And I would want my if I'm a director, I want my actor to be in it and not concerned about what the hell I'm doing with the camera. So I try to not be concerned about what they're doing with the camera, and just trust the process
Right,
and
right.
try to do my own thing if I can. I really like doing voice acting. I try to do more of that than anything else. Because
Oh,
one, I
nice.
can do it from where you see me right now. I could just
Yeah,
do it in the studio, and I don't know. I could do it by myself, and I can really get in my head, like, which is fun. A friend of mine made a movie called Wind and Bone. It's a Wendigo monster movie, and I'm the
right.
voice of the monster the whole movie. So
Oh, sweet.
I'm doing creepy whispers and like kind of roaring strange sounds, and that stuff's a blast.
Yeah,
I can do
bro.
some stuff like that. I've snuck my voice narration into a few things, and it's always a good time.
No, yeah. I mean, I've done a few voiceovers, man, and I enjoyed them. I mean, like you said,
Yeah.
you're at home and you're kind of just reading the script, and okay, well, this is what happens. I'm looking at the scene, why I'm doing it, and it's just fun to actually play around with it and just send what you feel, and of course, they send it back. You can do something else, but that's
It,
pretty cool.
and
Now,
there's no
let
one
me
else in
ask
the
you.
room, right? There's nobody around, so you can
Yeah.
like really get weird with
Oh
yourself and like go into
yeah.
different directions, And
Yes, bro. I mean,
I appreciate that.
and of course, let me ask you, because if this were, say, a video game were to say like, hey man, we need
Oh,
somebody, would that be like something you'd be interested in?
oh hell yeah!
Nice.
Honestly, almost any time a voice acting thing comes my way, I say yes,
Sweet. Oh yeah.
because it's just fun and it's low impact.
Yeah.
As far as I don't have to memorize my lines or walk
You don't have to
anywhere.
wear shorts or pants, and be in underwear, but hey, that's
Yeah. Oh, I was talking. I'm a big Stephen King fan, and there was a time during COVID that somebody was developing a pretty interesting adaptation of The Dark Tower into audio
oh,
format, into like an audio program. It got shut down, so it never
oh man.
happened. But I reached out to the guy early on, and I got myself a couple roles as some androids, and I was gonna be a couple,
Yo.
and so was JB, my podcast co-host. He was gonna be some other characters too. We were gonna both be some
Oh,
guys,
nice,
and the
man.
whole thing got shut down. We were very disappointed because that would have been very fun, and it would have been like a little. We get our Stephen King on.
Bro, no kidding, man. I mean, that's actually, yeah, because I mean, I've done like two online cartoons, and one's like
Cool.
a vegetable uh farm. So I play a vegetable dude, which is kind of cool, but it's just that it's not out yet, but it's just like the guy's like, hey man, I'm giving everybody like a vegetable, like this is what I'm thinking. And I said, man, send it to me, let me know,
Did you pick
and
your
I'll put
vegetable, or
something.
were you assigned a vegetable?
No, everybody, it was just like a vegetable farm. So it's just like a cartoon, but everybody's like, a
Oh,
carrot, a tulip, and
well, what's your
and
veggie?
so
What's your veggie, bro?
that was a cucumber.
Nice,
That was pretty
nice
chill,
cucumber.
you
Yeah,
know.
nice cooling
But
cucumber. Yeah.
but I was just like, yeah, I'll do it, man, because I was like, dude, I want to try this. And then the other one, I've done like
You get
voiceovers,
in your
like,
head, you're like, what would a cucumber? How would a cucumber approach this?
yeah, I
You
got
got to
no
get in the
arm, bro.
mind of a
Hey,
cucumber.
like I'm just hanging around, and I'm thinking, damn, okay, like, and it's weird because I mean, of course, I eat cucumbers, so I was thinking like, damn, like I wonder what a cucumber would feel or what it would think, or it was odd, but of course it's one of those things like you say, you're at home and you're like, okay, you got to be weird,
Well, you
and
you anthropomorphize on these things. Like if it's a cartoon, right? It's like
yeah,
the the chili pepper is going to definitely talk differently than the
oh yeah,
cucumber, right? Like those are very different characters already. So
yeah.
there's something you're not crazy.
No, no, no. You see, but yeah, it just makes sense, like you said, because I was like,
Hmm.
okay, well, he can't be hot headed. I mean, he's chill. He's
He's
just,
chill.
hanging around. So I just kind of gave him like a laid back kind of like, hey, what's going on, guys, and just went with that vibe because, but it was I don't want to say it was for kids, but it was a cartoon, and I mean there was nothing like PG-13 at most, but
Oh,
it
sure.
was pretty good. So I'm looking forward to that dropping, but it's fun, if
That's
I was
cool.
given that opportunity again, like you said, I mean I'd definitely try it and give it a spin and see what I can come up with, man. But
Yeah.
but of course, when it comes to filming, because you said you have a few projects, but you want to concentrate on one. Now, when you think of a film, somebody posted this a while back, and I thought it was funny, but it kind of made me wonder because they were like, "Oh, I have a film," and people were asking them like, "Oh, what is it about?" or "Who's in it?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know, but I have a poster."
Hmm.
And I was like, dude, that's funny. But I was just like, man, I wonder if people something start like that, like with an image, and you're like, oh, dude, what can I write about this? So has that happened to you, or are you
Hmm.
story first and then?
It's yeah, it's always story first for me, but like, I already have a preliminary poster for this project, even though we haven't shot a single thing. But once you start trying to get people to give you money to make a movie or get people to even want to be involved, you got to start making some
Right,
preliminary artwork
put in
and
some
or things
visual.
for people to visualize the film before the film exists, right?
Right.
A lot of times that involves using stills from pre-existing films, but like if you can make original artwork, that's fantastic. For me, I've never had that one happen, but definitely this was kind of like a script writing exercise. But a close friend of mine sent me that now infamous article right at the beginning of COVID again, where it was like Southern police warn residents to not dump their drugs down their toilet because of
Yeah.
alligators, right? And then that
Right.
spun into like, yeah, that got viral. Eventually, a Meth Gators movie did get made, but years before that movie got made, and as soon as that happened, I wrote a feature length script called Meth Gators, entirely based off the how we had a good laugh over this
Yeah.
newspaper article. But because I wanted to like write something that would, on the surface, look so shallow and uh, base, but then when you get in there, it has some actual meat on it, because it's a story about law enforcement funneling drugs into the poor community so that they can be oppressed, and like creating drugs on their own to keep the poor people down. But then these drugs get out of hand and and then also deforestation and habitat
Oh yeah.
destruction of swampland forces alligators and crocodiles out of their natural environment, so now people are being compressed, and there's all kinds of things to dig
Yeah.
into. And I wrote it expensive. I wrote it with explosions and like alligators eating people, bunches
Yeah.
of all these kinds of things that I know I can't afford or make, on
Oh
my
yeah.
but it was a really fun thing to write. And that was about it. I found
Yeah.
I had a meeting with the writer producer of the Sharknado movies, and I told him about the screenplay, and I'm like, listen, man, I feel like for some reason you're the person to talk to about this. And I have the screenplay. I would love to make this, and I pitched him the whole thing, and he basically told me, he said, listen, man, both of us got to give up on this dream, because he also had a Meth Gators like treatment for like a series, but he was the one who
Oh.
told me. He said Asylum beat us both, and they're gonna have a movie dropping like any week now. And sure enough, like a few weeks later, that Asylum Meth Gators movie came out. So I was just like, you know what? Yeah,
Oh
you
man.
gotta give it up at some point, and it's fine. Again, it was mostly an exercise, a very fun one though.
No, no, and that's another thing too, man. Because when it comes to the indie world, I mean, of course, for the most part, everybody's always trying to do something different, right?
Hmm.
Something that
Hmm.
hasn't been done. But because we're all pretty much, ruined with all these films, right?
Sure,
A
yeah.
lot of the ideas, I mean, it's pretty common that you got one guy in Florida, one in California, coming up with the same idea, the same. I mean, of course, the script's different, but where you see two films with the same name, and it's
Yeah.
like you
Oh
know?
yeah, it happens a lot. You know,
Yeah,
it's like kind of the difference between plot and story, right? You'll find a
right.
lot of films that have the same plot and obviously a different story within them. But
Yeah,
this year alone, there's going to be The Yeti
yeah,
with Jim Cummings and Yeti with Chris
yeah,
Pine, both coming out the same year. You know, very almost identical titles.
bro.
You know, it happens.
And yeah, and I think I read up on that because some buddy of mine had asked me. They're like, "Man, can movies use the same name?" And I looked it up, and they said for the most part they can. I mean, you can get two movies called Yeti, and then you're like trying to
Well,
figure
it's
out.
Yeti and The Yeti, so
Yeah,
there's like that difference. You know.
but man, and I mean, when it comes to movie titles, I mean, what
Mhm.
do you normally go with? I mean, is it the idea? Is it like a line in the film, or is it?
Titles are hard. I actually usually have a really tough time with titles. The only ones was kind of a different case because
Yeah,
the title actually came first. We came up with the idea to have a character based slasher film without this external villain element, and the title "The Only Ones" just made so much sense because they're the only ones involved. You
yeah,
know, they bring all the destruction they need with them, and also you know people get eliminated in the slasher until there's only one left. So it just made a lot of sense, and it was kind of our guiding force. But a lot of times I'll write a screenplay. There's been a couple times this has happened where I'll finish a screenplay and I still don't have a title, and I gotta think of one.
you're like, okay,
And
what are
it's
we gonna
really
call this?
tough because it's like you know it's like naming a band. You know, it's like you know this is the thing
Yeah.
that defines the project in so many words. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I hope and usually it happens that I'll find one along the way. I'll get into like the second act or something, and boom, that's the title.
It'll
I got it.
click. Man, and of course, I mean,
Sometimes.
when it comes to the only ones, I mean, you had a lot of great names in there. I mean, not just
Mm,
from well-known actors that have been in past films, but I mean, a lot of French talent, dude. So, was that kind of like your idea in the beginning? Was kind of put in like a veteran with the new guys, and a lot of them already came with have experience, so they're not like rookies, right? They come in, but
definitely.
I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
how did you
everyone's
go about?
great. Everyone's great in the cast. Almost everyone I had worked with or seen work or knew through reputation.
Yeah,
Everyone else we heavily auditioned for. But yes, it was originally planned to like have some legacy talent and some more veteran actors mixed in there. In fact, we originally wanted a lot more of that. Initially, I'm actually glad this didn't happen because I feel like it would have been more of a distraction than anything else. But in the initial draft, all the people who die really really fast in the very beginning
yeah.
were all like semi-famous people who are like kind of your Drew Barrymore from Scream, where
Yeah.
you're like, oh, there's clearly our star. Oh no, they're dead.
Yeah, they're like, what the hell?
But then do that like 3 times in a row or something like that, and then just sort of lay the groundwork really early on that like whatever you think is going to happen in this movie is not going to happen. Um,
No,
which I
yes,
think we get out that out of the way with our gas station scene. After the
yeah.
gas station scene, hopefully you should have the idea that like okay, you know, whatever I think is comfortable in the scene is not actually going to be how things are going to play out.
No,
Um,
yeah. I mean, there's I mean, not that I'm 100% accurate, of course, but I mean, I feel like I've seen enough films to where like I can normally I'm like, man, that's a killer,
mhm.
and I can point them out right away. And on this one, it took me a minute. I thought it was two people.
Yeah,
One of
yeah,
them I was correct. The other one I was like, oh damn, So I wasn't 100%, but I was like, I mean, it's just it was that good, man. I mean, for those that have watched it or are gonna be watching it, I mean, it's definitely worth taking for a spin because it's gonna be entertaining. They're gonna get hooked. They're gonna be carried along and driven into your project, man. I mean your story and like I said, I mean everybody did a great job, man. And I mean there
thanks.
was like one or two that kind of like stood out for me that I was like, damn, like that's looking forward to more of everybody, of course. But I mean just
Yeah.
two actors that I'm like looking forward to watching in future projects.
Yeah, I've already got some of them are cast in the next one for sure. You know, if it's a shame because you would love to work with everyone
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
everything, but no matter how great an actor is, there's not always the role right for that individual actor in every project, which
Oh, definitely,
is
man. You
always a
see, and that's
tragedy.
one of the things now because I was talking to my buddy the other day, and it just seemed like for a while I was busy. I was jumping on films, doing projects, doing this, and all of us like February for me was like freaking standstill, dude. I mean, I got sick. I had like my allergies were freaking a mess. Like a lot of people were suffering from them. But it was one of those that I was like, damn, like I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting, nothing. And like sure enough, like March came and it's like boom, and I was like, oh crap, like okay, cool, but it's just I already know like I'm not gonna fit every role. I'm not gonna fit it. There's people have their place, and it's just like when it's your turn, it's your turn. So of
Mm,
course.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Now
you
let me
can't get
ask
caught up
you.
in like the what ifs with that kind of stuff. If
Yeah.
you know,
No, no, yeah, yeah, and it's just a lot of the people that do it full time. Like I always root for them, man. I mean, I got a couple buddies, and I always tell them, I'm like, dude, like I'm working, I'm doing this. What my work allows me to take time off, so of course, thank them for that. But
mm-hmm.
it's like I don't need it, But when there's a project that I want to do, I'm like, damn, I'm gonna jump on this, But because of that, like the people that I know that are doing it full time, I'm like, dude, I mean, I hope you get something. I'm rooting for them because I'm like, man, like this is, with paying your bills,
Yeah, oh yeah,
like go get it.
it's tough out there. But the people who the people who stick with it, they're the ones who get the most work.
Yeah.
You gotta really tough it out sometimes.
No, no, for sure. And that's one of the things I tell people, man. For me, it's always been availability, accountability. Like I show up,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I pay attention, I listen, I'm good to work with, and it's just like I'm not making a scene or doing anything I'm not supposed to. But I did want to ask you on that because for a bit I was like, you know what, man? I mean, because you are out there, directing films, you're actually getting it done. What is one do and one don't when it comes to filming, like being on set?
Oh my god.
I mean, I know there's quite a few, but what are two that
uh,
stand out?
do pre-produce as much as you possibly can. Whether that's storyboarding for you or just running rehearsals
Yeah,
with actors, uh, but pre-produce.
yeah.
Don't. There's so many don'ts. There's probably more don'ts than
Oh
there
yeah,
are do's.
yeah.
Oh geez, I don't know. Which one do I choose? Don't. I kind of said this earlier, but don't cast or hire people who you don't want to spend at least 12
Yeah.
hours sequentially with, because it will make it unfun. And the mantra and the God that I serve now is it needs to be fun. If you're making, if it's work, it's different. But if I'm making an original project that we're putting our heart and soul into, or we're going to be grinding and spending hundreds of hours on, it needs to be a good environment. I need to be around
Definitely.
people who make us thrive and make us love to be there, and we need to all be loving what we're doing, because a 12-hour day on a film set can fly by, to me, faster than a 4-hour grind on some restaurant shift. To me, I would rather be doing the 12 hours creating something I love with people who excite me.
No, no, yeah, and one of the things I always tell people too, because when I go out there, I have fun. I'm enjoying
Oh yeah.
myself. I'm, meeting people. I'm networking. When I get pulled on set, I'm like, heck yeah, go time. But I'm enjoying it, and I want to keep doing that as long as I'm having fun. Like with this, with podcasting as well. Like I want to keep
Oh
doing it.
yeah. That's
The,
that's when
the
you do the
day,
best work.
yeah.
Anytime the few times that I've been on a set and there's yelling and there's that kind of business, man, I check out. I'm like,
No, yeah.
my desire to do good work plummets.
No,
and
no, for sure,
then I'm
man.
just a machine. I'm like, all right, let's get the shots so I can get out of here.
Yeah, let me drop this on there because I had Tim actually say, you really get to know someone when you work with them, and it's true, man. Because
Yeah, you
even
do. You do.
I mean, there's DPs, APs that as soon as I get there, they're like, man, Mario, they know me my name, so I feel special, right? But they're like, man, I'm glad you're back. Like, I'm leaning on you, man. And I'm like, dude, as soon as I get there, I'm like, bro, I'm here. Put me to work, man. Get me busy. Like, give me,
Yeah, I love
sure
that.
enough, bro, they're on it. They're like, stay on here, man. I'm gonna send two people back, and but it's
You
just,
might
I
see
mean,
those
I
people like once a year, once a year and a half. But then when you see them again, it's like you lock back in. It's good.
oh yeah, yeah, and I mean, even when it comes to like people I've been in filmed with, other actors, actresses, man. I mean, it's like a mini reunion, and it's like, all right, cool,
Mm-hmm.
man. I get more comfortable. I talk because of this. I mean, I get there and I'm like, hey, I got a podcast. Like, I start asking questions and just kind of trying to see where everybody's at. But at the same time, I do it because I'm trying to catch their vibe. I'm trying to see how they are. If they're, they put me with whoever, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, I just talked to this guy. Like, hey, man, this is what we're gonna do. They have us, we're in a painting studio, like we're just
Mm-hmm.
our gallery. We're gonna be talking back and forth, like admiring, and it's just body language for the most part. But I'm acting. I'm trying to sell it, and I'm trying to make everybody else look good, so or even better, you know.
Yeah.
Man, and bro, and I forgot to tell you earlier, man. You normally I try to run these like for an hour, but I did want to have a couple more questions in there, bro. One of them,
Yeah, sure.
for yourself, like if you were made into an action figure and you could
Mhm.
come up with one item, if you had one
Mm.
accessory, like what would it be, brother?
I would have the action figure of myself. Like, to the action figure would have the action figure.
Ew, that's mind blowing. I like that.
Yeah. Because of how excited I am to be the
Yeah, you're
action
like, hey,
figure.
it's me,
Yeah. It's
dude.
me. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
I can definitely appreciate that, man. I know. I jumped in a indie film here a year and a half ago, man, and it's a zombie film. And the guy's like, "Hey, we
yeah.
have they made like a miniature zombie figure," and I was like, "What the?" I was like, "Dude, is this me?" And they're like, "With everybody," and I'm like, "Nah, bro,
It's
this is me, man." I was like, "Shoot." But it's cool, man. I mean, I would love to be made into an action figure. Hell, why not? I
yeah.
collect them. Why not?
Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the coolest things.
And
I'm
then,
good friends with Jim Crut, who is our older gas station guy in The Only Ones, the one who tells them it's gonna
yeah,
rain. He's from Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead, and he
yeah,
has that iconic kill where they chop off the top of his head
yes,
with the
bro.
helicopter, right? And I see him. I just saw him a couple weeks ago, and I always see him at these conventions. That we work the conventions, and he was always signing autographs at the conventions. And people make him these amazing like figures and busts
Bro.
and like action figures of his character and moment from that movie. They're so cool.
Nice.
I love that stuff. He
Oh
gets me
yeah,
into
man.
action
I had
figure
this
all the time.
idea, and I'm sure I'm gonna do it. But I wanted to start doing that for projects I'm in, like little, keepers, man, little custom pieces. I mean, of course, talk to the director, let them know. But I'm like, I'm that guy. Like I always grab something from the film with
Oh yeah,
permission. I'm like, oh, dude, like broken glass. Somebody, hey, man, I'm taking this, and they're like, whatever. But I
hey
don't know
man,
why.
I've you're better than me. And most of the times I take them without permission.
Oh,
That's like, I mean, always if you see something, I mean, not nothing equipment, never
oh
equipment,
yeah, yeah, nothing
never
major, but
equipment.
it's just like something that I used, and that's kind of one of the cool things about it, man. I've used the
Keepsake.
items like on there, and they're like, "Oh man, we'll just use that," and I'm like, "Okay, well, shit, I already had this," and but one scene with the Woody Harrison, man, like I kept those like a cup, like in the scene, I'm walking around with.
Cool.
I went to go get coffee because they're like, "Oh, yeah, everybody take a break," so I go and I get coffee, and I'm coming back, and the DP's like, "Hey, no, the AP, they're like, hey, go ahead and we need you on the set." And I was like, oh crap. And I'm like, well, where do I put my coffee? And they're like, no, no, take it with you. And I said, all right. They're act like you're drinking it. And I'm like, well, I am, so I'm over here sipping it. And
Great, use that.
yeah, yeah. So I did. And I brought that with me. I was like, dude, I'm bringing this with me, man.
Oh,
I'm going to
that's
see
a
if I can.
keepsake. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. I like recently I was second unit cinematographer on a movie called Bloody Summer Camp 2, which
Yeah.
had a bunch of people I love in it. It has Joe Bob Briggs in the movie,
Nice.
Felissa Rose in the movie, Dave
Oh,
Sheridan, bunch of great guys, and they had there's a character that's supposed to have a Polaroid camera with them, and take pictures of some evidence. The Polaroid camera, their Polaroid camera was on the fritz, was not working. I carry a Polaroid camera with me whenever I go to
oh, sweet.
any
Yeah.
extended film set. I bring my Polaroid and some film because I love to take behind the scenes on Polaroid.
Nice. Well, I
So I was
like
just
that.
like, well, I have a Polaroid, so now my Polaroid camera became the prop in the movie,
Oh,
and so
bro.
when they'd snap a few of the photos, I'd grab the photos and be like, hey man, you got to sign your photographs, and then we got,
Dude, I
yeah,
love
it was
that,
great
man.
stuff. Yeah.
Give me an idea, man. I'm gonna borrow that from you. That's pretty freaking
Dude,
genius.
it's fun. It's like, one, everybody loves a Polaroid.
Yeah.
Everyone has a good time, and it's just something really charming about behind the scenes photos on Polaroid film. I don't know, just something nice about it.
No, yeah. I mean,
Same with, even if I take pictures on my phone with behind the scenes, I use this Fuji app that's like
oh,
a fake Fujifilm like
yeah. I've seen
disposable
that.
camera, and it adds this like compression that like looks just like those old disposable
Dude,
photos, and
nice, nice.
it's just like no touch up necessary.
Yeah.
It's just, I love that.
No, no, for sure, man. I agree. It's nostalgic, man. I mean, I used to have one at one point, but those are great to have. And my brother, and of course, man. And I hate to wrap this up, bro, but we are, and I want to thank you for jumping on here, brother. I mean, when it
Sure,
comes
yeah.
to what you do, I know you guys have a website. Do you want to plug that in?
Yeah, certainly. It's futurefantascope.com. And that you spell that with Phanto like a phantom, Phanto scope.
Yes, and I second that, because when I was writing your email, I put I spelled it out, and I went back and I was like, oh, I said, okay, it got me, so
Yeah.
definitely.
It's phantascope. I mean, phantascopes were one of the first projectors ever built, spelled
Oh,
that way with a
sweet, man.
PH. So future phantascope is sort of like calling something a Led Zeppelin, right? It's sort of a, it can't be both a future version of the oldest technology, but as filmmakers, I think we like to take both from the old and the new. So that's
No,
sort of the
no, no.
thought
Yeah,
behind
fits
that.
well. I mean, I was
Yeah.
going to ask about that too, so I'm glad you dropped that. But brother, I appreciate you. Don't hang up yet. Everybody out there, make sure and watch The Only Ones, available on Tubi and Prime, as well as other VOD outlets. As always, Spider here, coming soon podcast. So next time, follow up.